This is a terrifying story that happened to me, an ordinary housewife. I am a 35-year-old housewife who moved to New York for a job and met my current husband there. After getting married, we moved to a suburban apartment where we live with our 1-year-old son. It's within walking distance to my husband's parents' house, so we often visit them. I have a good relationship with my in-laws. My MIL often says, "Emily, our relatives send us a lot of vegetables. Please take some." She keeps a comfortable distance. As for my SIL and FIL, we are also on good terms. My SIL would often come up to me and say things like, "Hey, sis, is my brother treating you well? Let's go shopping together sometime," and my FIL would say things like, "Emily, thanks for bringing our grandson to visit often." Especially since I live far from my own family, having relatives nearby who I can rely on in times of need is very reassuring and supportive. One day, my SIL decided to bring her boyfriend over to the family house to introduce to the family, so my husband, our son, and I joined the gathering. The meeting went smoothly, and it was officially decided that my SIL would get married in a few months. As our family gathering was wrapping up, my SIL's boyfriend tried to call a taxi, and my MIL said, "Emily, could you give him a ride?" My in-laws' house is a bit far from the nearest station, and they had taken a taxi to get there. My MIL insisted that it would be better if I drove them to the station. In this family, only my FIL and I have a driver's licenses. However, my FIL had hurt his back 2 weeks ago. "All right, then would you mind taking care of my son while I'm out?" I borrowed the car keys from my FIL and decided to drive my SIL's boyfriend to the nearest station, which was about a 20 minutes round trip. I'm back. I opened the front door, but there was no response. Light was coming from the living room, so it seemed everyone was still talking. When I reached for the door, I heard, "Hey, did you get insurance for Emily?" It was my MIL's voice. I paused, wondering what she meant. "No, the one we got when we got married should be enough, right?" my husband replied. I remembered my husband asking me before, should we get better insurance? At the time, I didn't think much of it, but I suddenly felt like something was suspicious, since it was my MIL's suggestion to get better insurance, so I carefully took out my phone and pressed the record button. I remembered a friend once saying, a friend of mine was pressured into a weird religion by her husband's family and couldn't prove it later, so evidence is really important. I told myself that if there's nothing wrong, it'll be just a family video, so it's easy to delete, and I pointed the lens through the crack in the door. Honestly, that's not what I meant. With the current insurance, we wouldn't get much money, so I wanted to insure for the maximum amount. Emily is so thoughtless. Good grief, that's why I never liked Emily from the start, my MIL said, sipping her tea. Sure, if we pay for insurance and nothing happens to her, it's pretty much a waste of time. And since Emily wouldn't get any money out of the insurance, of course she would refuse. So, we should just secretly sign an insurance in her name. Besides, if we're paying a lot, we need to get our money's worth. After my SIL said that, my FIL chimed in and said, "That's right. If Emily could just get into an accident, that would be perfect." Do they actually want me dead? Are these the same in-laws who were so kind to me, and the SIL who said she was happy to have a sister because she didn't have one? And if something were to happen to me, what would happen to my son? It might just be a bad joke, but what if it wasn't? Hey, be honest, if you remarry someone else, your son is a pain in the neck, isn't he? Once Emily is gone, you can put him up for adoption. He's still young, he won't understand anything. I know a couple who can't have kids. If I introduce my son to them, it could be a favor and maybe even earn a few bucks. Are these people even human? I clenched my phone tightly. And my distrust towards my husband kept growing. First, we can cover your sister's wedding expenses with that money. Mom, if we get a lot of money, can I go overseas for my honeymoon? The family laughed cheerfully together. It terrified me that my son, who understood nothing, was in my husband's arms hearing such horrible conversations. I stumbled and leaned against the hallway wall. There was a loud thud, and I tried to escape towards the entrance. My MIL opened the living room door and we locked eyes. I panicked internally, but she said, "Oh, Emily, you just got back? You were late. Are you okay?" She thought I had just come home, so I played along saying, "Yes, the traffic was heavy." And after that I left my in-laws' house as soon as I could. From that day, I couldn't trust my husband and kept him away from our son. I realized I was the only one who could protect my child. So I started working quietly towards a divorce. And today is my SIL's wedding. The ceremony began with introductions of the bride and groom's upbringing, followed by messages of congratulations from friends, relatives, and acquaintances. As the venue became more lively, I nervously clenched my hands. Then, the video started playing. The venue staff happily cooperated when I told them that I filmed some family moments, so I want to add them as a surprise at the end of the celebratory video for my SIL. If we're spending a lot of money, we need to get our money's worth. My SIL's smiling face saying this was projected large on the venue's screen. At the main table, the groom asked my SIL, "What is this about? If Emily is gone, we can put her son up for adoption." As more scenes of the in-laws were shown, the groom finally stood up. "Wait, it's not like that. It's a joke, yes, a joke." My SIL desperately clung to the groom, but he said, "I can't marry someone who says such things, even if it was a joke. You're probably planning to take out insurance on me and put our kids up for adoption as well. You and your family are just a bunch of criminals." The groom, looking thoroughly disgusted, shook off my SIL. "Oh, Emily, can't you explain that it's a misunderstanding?" "That's right, Emily. It was just a joke, wasn't it?" My SIL and MIL hurriedly came over to me, pleading. As I was about to respond, the groom appeared and said, "No, Emily. Thanks to you, I don't have to marry her. Thank you very much." He bowed his head, borrowed the MC's mic, and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming here today. I'm sorry for this situation. Unfortunately, the wedding is off, so please take your gifts back with you. Enjoy the food and feel free to stay until the end." Then he walked briskly out of the venue. "Wait, please." My SIL, with a pale face, chased after him. "Emily. What have you done? Ruining her wedding. Do you even have a heart? Mother, that's my line. And for you, I can no longer be part of a family like this. I want a divorce. And of course, I will take custody of our son." I remained calm and firmly had my husband sign the divorce papers on the spot. I informed him that the details of the property division would be handled through a lawyer and then left. I added that if there was any trouble, I would submit this video to the appropriate authorities and wouldn't hesitate to fight. This made the divorce proceed smoothly. My SIL, whose engagement was broken off at the wedding, had to bear not only the cost of the ceremony but also various other substantial expenses leading up to the cancellation of the marriage. Additionally, she had invited a wide range of people, including relatives, friends, and coworkers, to the wedding. The incident spread to almost everyone she knew, and many of them severed ties with my SIL. She ended up quitting her job and moving away with her parents. After the divorce, I returned to work from maternity leave and raised my son on my own. We might not have been wealthy, but I believe we had a happy home. Today, my grown-up son said, "I have someone I want you to meet," so I'm waiting both anxiously and excitedly. The doorbell rang. I wonder what kind of young lady she is. I hope she is a kind-hearted person.